quash his beef with Yo like he did everybody else. I think it's more so about the girl, his wife, and no disrespect to her, but would you be willing to quash some beef with somebody who had sex with your wife? You know, maybe while you was in prison, I don't know when it was or whatever.
Oh, Lord.
The feud between Yo Gotti and Gucci Mane appears to be resuming after Pooh Shiesty returned home, and Gotti slapped his own CEO, who had assisted in his creation, on some snake ass. While Pooh Shiesty was incarcerated, Gotti was plotting against him behind all the success in CMG empire, knowing full well that this would reignite the violent rivalry that nearly ruined both of their careers. The startling reality of how a straightforward record agreement devolved into street politics that has the entire business on notice is more planned than anyone could have predicted, and we're going to make it all public. Now, let me keep it 100 with you guys before we break this down. Yo Gotti has been talking about Pooh Shiesty on social media as though he has already signed a C, and there has been a lot of talk about him seeking a 1017. After his petition to the federal government, Pooh Shiesty was finally returning home. Additionally, the game altered entirely while he was imprisoned. This young mobster wasn't expecting his own label boss to be playing about with the bread, but he was eager to go back to the money. Hold on, before you all assume that this is a typical contract conflict, this is about two OGs who already have animosity towards one another, loyalty, and respect. This is where things get very hot though. Business turns into a personal matter when your biggest artist wants to join your largest opportunity. Allow me to transport you all back to the time when Yo Gotti and Gucci Mane were true friends. We speak in the early 2010s, when these two were jointly in charge of the South. These two men are veterans of the trenches. Real recognized real, Gotti from North Memphis, and Gucci from Atlanta's Zone 6. You see, this was more than simply a cameras-related industry friendship. Since they both learnt their lessons the hard way, these guys truly respected one another. Even though Gucci was already well known as the Trap King, he recognized himself in Gotti. That desire, that sincerity, that readiness to go to any lengths to escape the hood. For those of you who weren't alive at the time, know that two well-known artists working together on a mixtape wasn't as frequent as it is today. It was like seeing two legends at the top of their game, encouraging one another to improve. When Gucci and Gotti released those videos, the streets were devouring it. Every hook was unforgettable, and every track was fire. However, this is where the story goes beyond friendship. October 17th, 2012. For Gucci Mane, that date was crucial since it symbolized his brand. 1017. 4 months he had been advertising his Trap God mixtape, making sure that everyone knew he was dropping on that particular day by doing every interview and posting on social media. We now know that time is crucial in the industry, particularly at the time when mixtapes was still selling units and generating a lot of buzz. Dropping may make or break your results. Everyone in Gucci's camp realized that this was his chance to establish 1017 as a major player in the market, and he had this date set in stone. The money for marketing had already been used. The features were fixed. They set up the distribution. Everything was suggesting that Gucci's day was October 17th. The worst part, though, is that Yo Gotti revealed he would be releasing CM7, The World Is Yours, on the same day. Gotti now asserted that he was unaware. However, allow me to explain why that is some rather dubious timing. These guys were close. Gucci had been publicizing this date for months, and they were collaborating on songs. How did you not realize that your friends were dropping on the same day? Gotti claims that he was genuinely thrilled to learn of the conflict. He believed that both of them dropping on the same day and taking down the internet would be awesome. He envisioned this as a celebration of their friendship and their supremacy in the South. But rather than thinking like a businessman, Gotti was thinking like a fan. Let me clarify for those of you who may not be familiar with the business side. The attention, streams, sales, and everything else are divided when two artists release on the same day, particularly if they have comparable fan bases. It's similar to setting up two eateries adjacent to each other. They will both eat, but they won't feast as much as they could have. However, it goes beyond sales figures. Your release date is your chance to shine and take center stage in the industry. Your influence is lessened when someone else, especially someone in your social circle, drops on the same day. Rather than discussing your project exclusively, the blogs now have the opportunity to divide their coverage across two releases. You also need to consider the psychological component. For months, Gucci had been preparing October 17th as his special day. He felt as though something precious had been violated by having someone else, even a friend, share the spotlight. Gotti attempted to contact Gucci over the matter, but Gucci was not interested in hearing about it. Gotti claims that as soon as he learnt of the dispute, he called Gucci, believing they could resolve it amicably. Gucci, however, remained silent. I tried again, but it didn't work. He even contacted members of Gucci's camp, requesting that they ask Gucci to return his call, but the phone never rung. To be honest, I can see why Gucci was upset. Not only was his friend dropping on his special day, but Gotti had recently released the I Got Racks remix with Jeezy and T.I., and everyone knew that Jeezy was Gucci's greatest star at the time. After Gucci tweeted about the incident, Gotti was able to reach Gucci at last. It was a subtle but unambiguous tweet. If they are not Brick Squad, why would another artist release their mixtape on 1017? I'm not you. God of Traps. Gucci used that tactic to point out the disrespect without mentioning specific individuals. Gotti claims that he thought everything was great when they sliced it up over the phone. Out of respect, he even rescheduled his release date to October 18th. However, Gucci wasn't even concerned about the release date issue during that phone chat. The partnership between Jeezy and T.I. infuriated him. My main issue with him is that he dropped his mixtape on 1017 and tried to ride my wave. Gucci stated on the radio, "If you're not on 1017, why would you drop it?" Gucci believed his homie was attempting to take advantage of his situation to gain influence. So that's some serious hurt right there. This is where things get really nasty though. This is exactly what Gucci said, dropping birds of a feather. Before Gotti became a buster, I did. Take a moment to consider that. The world just heard your friend call you a buster on a record. Although Gotti initially tried to take the high road after being injured by the disc, he eventually had to react. Have Mercy was the only thing he dropped. Officially, the friendship was over. Although the song wasn't as explicit as some disc recordings, it was obvious that Gotti wouldn't tolerate Gucci's disrespect without laying belt to ass. It is now time to confront the elephant in the room. In an interview with Breakfast Club, Gotti disclosed that, while Gucci was incarcerated for a probation violation, he had an affair with Keisha Kerr, who is now Gucci's wife. Gotti stated it as if it were a routine aspect of the game. "You are aware of how the game works? I had no idea that you were in love. Allow me to explain the course of events for you all." Gucci was imprisoned for breaking his probation. Of the 600 hours of community service he was obliged to perform, he had only finished 25 hours. As a result, the judge ended his probation and sentenced him to a year in prison.
Handcuffed and taken to jail as after a judge revoked part of Radrick Davis's probation. Prosecutors complained that the rapper had only completed 25 hours of the 600 hours of community service he was ordered to perform.
Good afternoon, Fred. The judge said, judging by his record, Radrick Davis, otherwise known as Gucci Mane, is not a worthy candidate for probation. So the judge decided to end a portion of his probation and send him.
Gotti made his move while he was in prison, unable to defend his relationship with Keisha Kerr or even effectively interact with her. Gotti claims he was unaware that Gucci was taking Keisha Kerr so seriously. He asserted that it was merely informal and typical of street life. That, however, is some true snake behavior, because you don't mess with your homie's gal when he's in jail, even if you didn't realize they were serious. It was made worse by the way Gotti discussed it throughout the interview. He was laughing about it as if it didn't matter. However, Gucci was imprisoned in 2013 on 2 counts of possessing a handgun by a criminal, carrying a 20-year sentence. In 2 different interactions, the feds discovered guns on him. Additionally, they were attempting to put him in jail due to his criminal history. However, his life was actually saved by that prison bid. Gucci had changed by the time he returned home in 2016. Tidy, concentrated, healthy, and drama-free. After detoxing off the lean, he shed 40 pounds in his first 2 months inside. He just had a baby. He appeared to be over all the small-time squabbles, and his label was doing better than ever. Every week, the former Gucci would have started fresh feuds and gone mad on Twitter, criticizing everyone. The new Gucci, however, was focused on his business. Instead of only talking about it, he was creating better music, signing better musicians, and establishing a legitimate business. In 2020, Pooh Shiesty, a young thug from Memphis, was signed by Gucci. This child was unique, though he had a contemporary spin that appealed to the younger generation. He still had that unadulterated street spirit that made people think of the classic Gucci, the Tale of Pooh. Shiesty was ideal for 1017. He was raised in a milieu similar to Gucci's The Streets, the hardship, the hustling, but he also possessed the unteachable ambition and desperation to succeed that propels the greatest artists. However, he later became involved in a federal case and was imprisoned on conspiracy charges. Pooh Shiesty was arrested in October 2021 on suspicion of conspiring to get firearms, and he was ultimately given a 5-year sentence in federal prison. That would be career suicide for most artists. Time in prison destroys momentum, buzz, and relevancy. Gucci publicly expressed during this period how much he missed Pooh Shiesty, how eager he was for him to return home, and how 1017 was holding it down for their star artist. With the exception of Pooh Shiesty and Fujiano, Gucci even went so far as to remove practically everyone else from the label roster. The game continued to play even if Pooh Shiesty was imprisoned. Bigger deals were being given to other musicians, the value of popular musicians was soaring, and streaming numbers were increasing throughout the business. Pooh Shiesty discovered his worth had grown considerably when he returned home. Yo Gotti enters the picture at this point. Over the past few years, CMG has been signing a lot of talented musicians and providing them the deals they are due. Gotti has been expressing love and support for Pooh Shiesty on his social media accounts. Not only informal posts either. We are discussing actual promotion, the kind of posts that create a lot of attention and receive millions of views. He even sent Glorilla, his biggest female performer, to collaborate with Pooh Shiesty on a song. Additionally, the timing of all of this support was not accidental. Gotti was presenting CMG as the superior choice since he was aware that Pooh Shiesty's contract with 1017 was about to expire. Someone who knows the business better than most made a smart move. When it came time to renegotiate Pooh Shiesty's contract, Gucci was making offers that were far less than what Pooh Shiesty was worth. According to people familiar with the matter, we are referring to lowball bids that failed to account for the income potential, cultural influence, or streams. According to industry sources, the offers were offensive. We are discussing deals that would have been suitable for a brand new artist, not for someone who has brought in millions of dollars for the record label. Instead, than honoring Pooh Shiesty's loyalty, it seemed as though Gucci was attempting to exploit it. Now, Gucci isn't the kind to start posting about his company on social media. That's not how he uses the internet. While the new Gucci conducts his business in private, the old Gucci may have been going crazy on Twitter. However, according to people familiar with the matter, he is not pleased with Gotti's attempt to steal his biggest star. Besides, who would be? Europe tries to take an artist when they grow hot after you invest in them. Help them develop their career and give them their first genuine chance. It's similar to raising a child and then having your adversary try to adopt them after they achieve success. From Gucci's point of view, this is most likely déjà vu. Gotti is attempting to profit from something that Gucci created once more. Initially, the October 17th release date was an attempt to capitalize on his popularity. It's now attempting to take his biggest star. However, after their initial feud, the game has evolved. Both artists were essentially on the same level back then. Gotti now has more resources, a larger platform, and possibly more respect in the industry, while 1017 has been finding it difficult to stay relevant outside of Pooh Shiesty. CMG is regarded as one of the trendiest labels in the industry. What Pooh Shiesty is actually thinking is the true question. You were loyal to the label that gave you your first chance. On the one hand, Gucci had faith in him while others did not, gave him a stage and assisted in his rise to fame. In the streets, that kind of loyalty is meant to have some significance. This entire scenario demonstrates how the game has evolved. If you held a grudge with someone in the past, you avoided their people. These days, it's all about the bag. An opportunity takes precedence over loyalty. However, certain things never change in the streets. Still, disrespect is disrespect. Pooh Shiesty's decision to quit 1017 for CMG would serve as a warning to other musicians that devotion has its limits. There are alternatives available if your label isn't treating you fairly. A wave of musicians requesting better terms or switching to labels that appreciate them more could result from that. See our other films for further content that deconstructs the financial side of hip-hop and the true tales behind the headlines. We learned in-depth details about artist contracts, label politics, and all the drama that goes on behind the scenes to create culture. Family, be careful until the next time. And keep in mind that loyalty is crucial in this game until it isn't.